behalf of our Adjutant General Major General Eifert. I'm here to discuss what we'd like to do here in Malabar at the Annex in the future. But additionally, I think if I didn't take the opportunity to explain a little bit about the National Guard for those that don't know it, and what we kind of do for the community and for the state, along with the nation, and I kind of would sell this all short. So it's going to be the first part. We're going to talk a little bit about the National Guard and what we've done, and I'm going to kind of focus on more current stuff.
Mike, Colonel.
COVID.
There you go.
Can't hear me? And then towards the end, we'll talk about the Malabar project specifically, and I'll give you any updates that I have on that and what our plans are. So the mission of the Florida National Guard. So for those that don't know, we have two chains of command, so to speak. We have our state mission, which is probably more what you see from us is domestic responses when it comes to hurricanes, riots, floods, things of that nature, COVID. And then we also have our federal mission, which is deploying overseas and in some cases in the United States, supporting things like right now we just sent 2 companies to the southwest border to help secure the border down in both Texas, New Mexico, Arizona area. Why the tag isn't here, we are sending off our infantry brigade combat team, not the entire brigade, but a big portion of it. They're going to go to Europe. They leave, actually yesterday was the first departure ceremony. So we're constantly sending people overseas, CONUS as well, in the United States, doing federal missions along with what we do with the state. Right now on the state side, I'm actually missing our hurricane preparedness training this week. Thank you for letting me miss that. I will have to go back to it tomorrow. But we were always preparing and always trying to be the best we can to support the citizens of the state and in our communities. And additionally, we have a few programs within the Florida National Guard that focus on different aspects. One of the big things we do is called Youth Challenge. We bring in troubled kids that are having trouble staying in school in bad environments. We bring them in as more of a military type education, but as long as they stick with the entire program, they come out of it with a GED diploma, and in some cases they would not have graduated from high school. So little things like that, we're bringing in kids from the communities, helping them get through school, and also, sometimes we get some military members out of that, but good members go back into society. We have counter-drug programs where we help, one, interdict on actual drug smuggling and things like that, but also going into the communities, the schools, talking to kids about the use of drugs and the bad effects of that. And so we also bring value to the community for things like that. So here's the chain of command I spoke of. On the one side, our state mission, we answer to the governor, the commander-in-chief. For the National Guard side, our Adjutant General, General Eifert, works directly for the governor. And in times of emergencies, we work with the Division of Emergency Management to do the responses throughout the communities that are affected by whatever we're actually responding to. On the right side, when we're doing the federal side, we get called up, as you can kind of see on the bottom right. When we go Title 10, we roll up under combatant commanders, which is under the president, the SecDef, our respective secretaries, and we deploy forward wherever they need us. And so with that, we also have our Chief of the National Guard Bureau. He's a 4-star general. He sits on the Joint Chiefs of Staff. That's something that happened just a few 10 years ago, maybe, when we first got the first seat on the Joint Chiefs of Staff. And so we now have a voice for the Guard. The Florida National Guard is both Air and Army, and we sit right now a little over 11,500 soldiers throughout the state from Pensacola down to Homestead. This slide's a little garbled here, but if you look at the black dots, that's where we are in the communities. So bottom left kind of gives you a little legend of we have 128 military units within the Florida Army and Air National Guard, and we're in 55 different communities. Right now, as I mentioned, 11,500 Guard members. And we also have Camp Blanding, which is our big training site in Stark, Florida, which is about 73,000 acres. It was a World War II mobilization platform that we've maintained, and we do most of our training out at Camp Blanding. My job as a construction and facility management officer is I manage all the facilities throughout the state. All the real property that's in our inventory falls under my control. It's over $1 billion worth of property. And our average, we have facilities that probably are built in the early 1900s up to our most recent we completed about 2 years ago. And that's 62 Readiness Centers. We call them Readiness Centers now. They used to be called armories. In this area, we have one in Cocoa. We have one in Melbourne. So this slide is a little dated. It's from March. You can see that on there. But I have the updated numbers. This is really a snapshot of what we did pretty much over the last 18 months. Think COVID to now, and this is essentially what we've done. So what I'm going to do, you can look at the slide, but I'm going to provide the updated numbers to you, just because as we closed out what we've done. So looking at, let's see here, we activated a total of 2,900 service members through that time period, which equaled over 660,000 man days. What that means is for every soldier, how many ever days they were on, accumulates up to 660,000 days were spent on really the COVID response. In addition to, we did provide soldiers that went to DC during the inauguration, elections, and other items when they needed us up in Tallahassee as well. Additionally, when you start looking at it, we did 1,112 missions over a period of 551 days. That's mainly COVID. At the end of the COVID mission, we completed 5,668,553 COVID tests at 47 testing sites, 664 nursing homes, assisted living facilities, and VA centers, along with 16 mobile testing bus trailers. Additionally, we operated within 10 vaccination sites and 130 mobile teams and supported the administration of 1,534,044 vaccinations throughout the state of Florida. So that was the bulk of what we've done in the last 18 months. Again, that shows what we can do for the state, along with while we're going overseas and doing other missions as well. So this, as I mentioned, our federal deployment. So that's kind of what we've done for the state. This is what we've done federally. This is also from March, but the bottom shows that since September 11th, we've deployed over 20,000 soldiers to Iraq, Afghanistan, Africa, and other places. You can't read it, but the green is the Army units that are forward deployed. You can kind of see on the map where they are. The blue is the Air Guard side and where they are. Now, in some cases, they've come back and we've sent more over. The right side, which is gray, you can't see it, is what the pending deployments are that we've come to get going on. This is my tag's favorite slide. One of his major objectives is to grow the Florida National Guard. We are, I guess I don't really want to explain the map of this thing to you per se, but the left side is the Florida population. The right side is how many Guards members we have. The blue line is the Florida population. The red line is the Florida National Guard force structure. So essentially, where we're sitting at about 11,500, 800-ish soldiers, and the population of Florida is continuing to grow, we don't have the soldiers and airmen available to really adequately support the citizens of Florida, which is one of our main missions. So when he's going around and speaking about the congressional delegates and the communities and whoever will actually listen to him, this is really what he's trying to say. We're out of the third most populous state in the nation. We are 53 out of 54 as it pertains to the population versus the National Guard ratio. And so we are second to last as far as number of soldiers in comparison to our population, and we all know Florida's growing. So we expect 5 more million within the next 10 years. The way I've seen the last year or two is probably going to exceed that pretty quickly. And so what that means for the National Guard is anytime there's a hurricane, and in this example that's on the slide is Hurricane Irma, which, as you know, is a long, drawn-out response for us. Frankly, I got called up. I was in an engineering unit. I was down in the Fort Myers area. We were supporting that Naples, Fort Myers general area. We also, our engineers helped clear A1A all the way down to Key West to get the road cleared out. I got back home. I was at a Florida State game watching a football game. My battalion commander calls me and says, "Ryan, can you get to Tallahassee tomorrow?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm in Tallahassee right now. What do you need?" They're like, "We're activating again." They called us back up and went back down to the Key West. Really, it was Marathon South, and we helped, what we call it, demucking houses. We were literally going in houses that were destroyed by storms, the tile surge. We were helping clean that stuff out, get the trash, old relics. And there's a really big military veteran community in the Keys, if you don't know that. And so we're throwing out pictures from the 20s and 30s. It's a very sad event. But we went down there and helped out with that. Well, within the main surge of that, as you know, it kind of came through the state, held and kind of hung, and then it just kind of just did a lot of destruction. We had to call in 2,200 soldiers from other states. From 22 different states provided soldiers and airmen to come help us respond to our own state because we didn't have adequate personnel. So that's why the tag, it's so important to him to try to get our numbers up so that we don't have to call in other states to come help us. We can take care of our own. And so that's the purpose of this slide. Part of that is, like right now, if there was a getting out of hurricane season, in the next year, our brigade combat team is going to be deployed. They'll be in Europe. They won't be back yet. We have to fill that gap somehow. And so plussing up our numbers will help get us there. So the way our units are arrayed, you saw the big map with all the dots. This is our major commands, and so we're starting to get towards Malabar. We're getting there. I'm in 8th Air Troop Command, so I live in St. Augustine. My unit's actually in Tallahassee. It's a major subordinate command. Joint Force Headquarters is this patch you see on my arm, is the little red patch on the top right as well. That's our Joint Force Headquarters. That's where all of our staff, our generals, they all work out of St. Augustine. So you can see it's hard to read, but we have 4,300 positions of our 11,000 or so in the North Florida Panhandle area. But that's great. A lot of our facilities were built in the 50s and 60s, and it probably made a lot more sense back then. But now, the demographics have shifted south. So now Central Florida down into the southern portions of Florida are really where the recruit age kids are at and where we really need to be. So our Adjutant General has shifted his focus on our long-range plans for facilities to Central Florida south. And that's part of why we're looking at Malabar. You can see currently in the Central Florida, we have our Infantry Brigade, which is in St. Petersburg, Pinellas Park. And then we have our Air Defense Artillery Brigade, which is right actually at the Orlando Airport, is where they're currently headquartered. There's 3,500 of our positions are there. Down in South Florida, we have 2,100 authorized positions, and we have one major subordinate command. So we're really focusing in those areas to start building our new infrastructure down there and replace our old stuff. So that's how we're currently arrayed. So growing armies. This is starting to get in my world now. When we look at what are we looking for long range to build our infrastructure, these are the projects and the locations that we've really looked at. Now, our MILCON cycle, I probably don't know much about the MILCON cycle here, but essentially what we're competing for now, we may see in 7-8 years of breaking ground. We're competing with every National Guard, state and territory for essentially about a $200 to $300 million budget. That doesn't spread very far over 54 if you do the math. And that's why, essentially what the National Guard Bureau is saying to us is we should see a project every 5 years or so. This year we've been very fortunate. The state has funded 100% 2 projects for us. One's on this map, the other's not. And if you read the news, you probably saw that. But Immokalee, which is just east of Naples, they funded one of the projects. Now, in Immokalee, we've actually had a land lease for 25 acres for about 12 years. So it was an easy selection from the state. You got the land, you can execute quickly. And so we're working the design piece right now to start working on that. Additionally, they inserted Zephyr Hills, like the bottled water. I don't know if you know where Zephyr Hills is, but just east of kind of Tampa, St. Pete, just north of Lake Tampa, Plant City, north of I-4, east of I-75. So we'll be also building one there. It was kind of a flyer. We didn't plan on that, but we'll take what we can get. We're also working to try to get more money out of the state because they've got, I think it's $3 trillion. I think what came into them this year for the American Relief Act. And so we're working towards that. So we're trying to chip away at the next group. So what I'll say is right now our #1 project on our long-range plan is a Camp Blaney Readiness Center. We think we got that awarded through the MILCON federal cycle for FY26. The president budget for MILCON hasn't really been published yet. For the out years, we only know what's going on in 22, but we don't know what's happening in 23, and mostly for us, we're worried about 26. We also feel really good that the Special Forces Readiness Center at Camp Blaney is going to get picked up. So you guys talk about Hydromagini on Camp Blaney. The facilities that they're actually using as an armory was used for G.I. Jane, so that's our claim to fame. G.I. Jane was filmed on Camp Blaney, a portion of it. So we think that got picked up through the traditional MILCON cycle on the federal side, which is great. It chips away at our top projects, and now our other projects are trying to rise up. So what we're now looking at is our Homestead site. We just picked up 72 acres from Miami-Dade County. It used to be part of the base. They bragged it. The county picked it up. And so we just signed a lease for 72 acres. Over the last 2 years, we've been working with Patrick. Is it Space Force Base now? Space Force. I'll go really back real fast. In 2003, I was activated, brand new lieutenant, just out of school, and they said, "You're getting activated." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, what's going to happen?" Long story short, I ended up at Patrick Air Force Base. That mission, if you were familiar with it, the National Guard was called in to basically guard every single Air Force base in Florida, because the security forces, the police, were being called up to go to Iraq and Afghanistan. They brought the National Guard to augment those forces. So I actually lived at Patrick. What used to be the temporary lodging facility right on the beach. It was a rough gig. For about 6 months. And then
thank you for your service.
I had to take one for the team, I guess. That's the point when I realized I joined the Malabar. You hear the waves crashing in the background. It's kind of soothing, actually. So, but we've also pitched, as recently as 2 weeks ago, to the state to consider us them funding for us the Malabar project. So again, I'll explain the Malabar project in a little bit to you guys, but we are actively trying to get that. What we don't have right now is a license or a lease for the land. We have been working with them for that, but you know, it's a little bit of a drawn-out process to get a license. It goes through the Corps of Engineers and whatnot. And so we are working that. We're actively working it. But if we are looking at a long-range plan, a 2029, 2030, 2031 timeframe for a facility here, they're just slow rolling us for a couple of years until we know for sure it's coming, and that's when we're going to start going through the tedious process of getting a license for the land. Bottom left, sorry. So we have, I mentioned 62 readiness centers throughout the state. We have, that equates to 1.5 million square feet. We're authorized 2.9 based on our soldiers that we have within the Army side. So we're 1.4 million short. That's another reason why this is one of the TAG's objectives, get as many facilities as we're able to get through either state funding, federal funding, whatever they can get money from. He's really pushing and trying to get them in the right places. And again, that's where Malabar comes in. I think you're one of the right places. So this is the project itself. Now, I say this is a project. This is a rendering of a project that would be a new project. What that building shows is roughly a two-story building that's roughly 56,000 square feet. That's about what we're looking at if we were successful in getting funding for Malabar. What we also do is when we build these buildings, we design in the ability to easily expand out on both sides to add more units when it comes down to it. For Malabar, we're actually asking for 50 acres. And I don't know how many people know about the Malabar Annex, but we'll go into where that is, what it looks like, and why we're asking for 50 acres. So here's the left-hand side is obviously an aerial. That's the Malabar Annex. I don't know the roads here. I am really sorry. I can't tell you where that is specifically, but it's right off the interstate to the east. Mitten. Yeah, I drove through that. So, but it's kind of a diamond in the rough, as I would call it, because Army doesn't require much. Trees and ground are awesome for us. And then a place to build a building is just extra awesome. So we've been using actually this site for many, many years. So as I mentioned, we've got a unit in Cocoa and in Melbourne. One's a military police company. One is dismounted infantry. So this is ideal for them. You can drive around in it with your vehicles, get tested on driving, get comfortable with driving. You can do land navigation. You can chase people in the woods and shoot blanks, as long as we let the community know we're doing that, of course. And there's many things that we can do with 600 plus acres that are just kind of, it's literally just open woods.